On his 40th birthday, my husband asked for a hall pass to sleep with someone else. When I said no, he smiled, kissed my cheek, and told me not to worry. 2 days later, I found a hotel receipt. And the name on the forwarded email? My best friend. The woman who brought a birthday cake to our house that night, laughing with my kids, hugging me, clinking glasses with my husband. She already knew what was going to happen. And now, she says she might be pregnant. I'm still reeling from it all. I still remember the way Brad looked at me when he asked. Like it was some casual favor. So, for my 40th, I was thinking maybe I could get a hall pass, he said, sipping his coffee like we were talking about vacation plans. I blinked. A what? He chuckled. You know, a one-time thing. Just sex. Just to spice things up. I froze. My heart sank straight into my stomach. He kept talking something about it not meaning anything. About men hitting a midlife slump. I couldn't even hear all of it. My ears were ringing. You want permission to cheat on me? I asked, voice shaking. It's not cheating if you say yes, he grinned. I stood up so fast I knocked over my coffee. That's disgusting, Brad. You think being married with 2 kids means you get a free pass to screw someone else for fun? He raised his hands like I was overreacting. It's just an idea. Don't make it bigger than it is. But it was big, massive. A red flag so loud I couldn't ignore it. That night I cried in our bathroom, silent tears while our kids slept in the next room. I stared at my reflection, wondering when our marriage had gotten so off. I thought we were okay. Not perfect, but okay. I'd given up my career to raise our children. I did everything, the school pickups, the dentist appointments, the 2 a.m. fevers. And now he wanted a break from me? The next day he apologized. He said he was joking, that he was just feeling old and wanted to feel desired again. I didn't fully believe him, but I wanted to. I needed to. For the kids, for the mortgage, for the life we built. So I accepted his apology. I cooked him a steak dinner for his birthday. The kids gave him hand-drawn cards. And around 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. It was Tessa, my best friend since college. She brought a cake carrot, his favorite. She kissed my cheek, hugged the kids, and laughed with Brad about how 40 isn't so bad. Everything seemed normal. But 2 days later, I found the receipt. A charge from the Wisteria, an upscale hotel downtown, a place we hadn't visited, not even for anniversaries. My stomach turned. At first I thought it was fraud, a mistake. But then I checked his email. There it was, a booking confirmation. And it had been forwarded to Tessa. I sat on the floor of our laundry room and just broke. My chest felt like it was caving in. She had stood in my kitchen, eating cake with my children, knowing what was going to happen. And that was just the beginning. I didn't confront him right away. I waited until the kids were asleep, tucked into their beds with their stuffed animals and nightlights humming. Then I walked downstairs, clutching my phone like it was a loaded weapon. Brad was on the couch, scrolling through ESPN. I stood in front of him. Who did you take to the Wisteria 2 days after your birthday? He looked up, confused. What are you talking about? I threw the phone onto the coffee table. You booked a room. The confirmation is in your email. You forwarded it to Tessa. His eyes went wide. Deer in headlights wide, mouth slightly open. Then the lie. I was just testing you. What? I snapped. I wanted to see if you'd actually let me use the hall pass. I didn't actually go. Then why did you send the confirmation to her? Silence. My hands were trembling. My whole body was. And then, he broke. Not in tears, not in guilt, but in excuses. We'd been texting. She agreed to help out with the hall pass idea. It was just that one time. It didn't mean anything. You slept with her. He looked away. I took 2 steps back. My legs barely held me up. You had sex with my best friend. The woman who held my veil on our wedding day. He muttered something like, I'm sorry, but it was hollow. Soulless. It was just physical, he said. No emotions, no feelings. She did me a favor. That's all. A favor. Like she was doing him a kindness. I think I laughed one of those dry, bitter laughs that doesn't even sound human. You planned this, I whispered. You asked me for permission, I said no, and you did it anyway. Megan, listen. No, you listen. I stood tall, even though inside I was crumbling. You don't get to break me and then expect me to clean up the mess. Get out. He blinked, as if stunned that I wasn't begging for an explanation. Megan, come on. Can we just get out? I tried to keep my voice low. I didn't want the kids to wake up, but I was shaking with rage. He stood there for a moment, then slowly gathered a duffel bag and his keys. No apologies this time. No promises. Just a quiet exit. The door clicked shut behind him. And then, I collapsed to the floor. I cried harder than I had in years. For my marriage. For my kids. For the friend I thought I could trust. And the worst part? I still hadn't spoken to Tessa. But I would. And when I did, I'd learn just how deep the betrayal ran. It took me 6 days to answer Tessa's texts. I saw every message. Please, Megan, let me explain. I hate myself for what I did. You have to believe me, it was a mistake. I couldn't even type back. My fingers would hover over the keyboard, then stop. But yesterday, I cracked. I told her to come over, just once. Just to say whatever the hell she needed to say and then leave my life forever. I sent the kids to my parents. I didn't want them anywhere near this wreckage. At 3 p.m., she pulled into the driveway like she always had, like nothing was wrong. I watched from the window, arms crossed, heart pounding. When she stepped inside, she looked smaller. Eyes puffy. Pale. But I felt nothing for her. Not anymore. I'm so sorry, she blurted, tears already spilling. Please, Meg. Don't call me that, I said flatly. You lost that right. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we used to drink wine and plan baby showers. Now it was a battlefield. She started talking fast, desperate. Brad said you two hadn't been intimate in months. He made it sound like you were checked out, like the marriage was already falling apart. And that gave you permission? I asked, ice cold. No. I told him it was a horrible idea. But then, he said you agreed to the hall pass. I laughed bitter and broken. You really think I'd give my husband a free pass to screw around with you, of all people? She cried harder. I don't know what I was thinking. I was lonely. I'd been single for so long after the breakup with Josh, and Brad, he made me feel wanted. You flirted. You planned it. You slept with him 2 days after standing in my kitchen with my children. She nodded. I know. I crossed every line. There was a silence. Then she said it. I'm pregnant. My stomach dropped. My hands instinctively clutched the edge of the table. What? I'm about 6 weeks, but I don't think it's his. I've been seeing someone casually, a guy named Mark. The dates line up more with him. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. But there's a chance it's Brad's? She nodded slowly. And I think something in me snapped. You blew up my life, my marriage, my kids' world, and now you want me to comfort you over a maybe baby you made with my husband? I'm not asking for comfort, she whispered. I just didn't want you to find out some other way. I stood. Tessa, I hope for that child's sake it's not Brad's. Because if it is, God help us all. She reached for my hand, crying. I pulled back. Don't touch, meh. I pointed to the door. Leave. She hesitated. So I raised my voice. Get out. But she left in tears. And I locked the door behind her. Then I slid down against it and cried again. But this time, the tears felt different. Not just from heartbreak. From anger. From the rising fire inside me that said, no more. The morning after I kicked Tessa out, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Rachel Stone, highly recommended by a friend from my old mom group. She had a no-nonsense voice and the kind of calm I desperately needed. We met in her office 2 days later. I sat across from her, still clutching a tissue, and said the words I never thought I'd say. I want out. She nodded. Let's talk through what you're entitled to. I told her everything. The hall pass, the cheating, the hotel email, even the possible pregnancy. She took notes like it was a deposition. You've been a stay-at-home mom for nearly 8 years? She asked. Yes. I gave up my teaching job after Lily was born. Okay, that matters. You've sacrificed earning potential to support the home and kids. You're likely eligible for spousal support and, obviously, child support, too. I exhaled for the first time in days. It didn't erase the betrayal, but at least I wouldn't be financially stranded. Then she said, Start documenting everything. Emails, texts. Save them. Done, already done. Brad, of course, tried calling. I ignored him. He sent long-winded texts, apologizing, begging to talk. But I couldn't stomach his voice. I only replied about the kids. Then one evening, my phone buzzed. It was a message from his lawyer. Brad had lawyered up and fast. Rachel wasn't surprised. Their side's already posturing, she said after reading the email. He's requesting 50/50ths custody and proposing the house be sold immediately to divide the equity. I stared at her. He wants to sell the house? The only home our kids have ever known? She gave a half smile. Yes. Because that means you and the kids are displaced, and he walks away with a bigger check. The anger in my chest reignited. He cheated. He planned it. I told him no, and he did it anyway, with my best friend. I know, Rachel said, her voice calm but firm. And we'll remind the court of that. We began preparing. Meanwhile, Brad tried to play family man, showing up for the kids more than ever, taking them to the zoo, buying new toys. It wasn't about them, not really. It was about the court. Damage control. One day, when he came to pick the kids up, he asked if we could talk alone. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat on the porch after the kids left with my mom. He looked tired, thin. His voice was softer than usual. Megan, I'm sorry, I messed up, I know that. But can't we try counseling before we throw everything away? I stared at him. You didn't throw everything away. You set it on fire, Brad. I gave you a chance to be honest. And you lied. You broke every part of me. He nodded slowly, swallowing hard. I miss us. I blinked. You miss control, you miss comfort. But you don't miss me, not the real me. If you did, you wouldn't have risked losing me. He looked like he wanted to say more, but I stood up. I'm moving forward with the divorce. Please don't come here without texting first. He didn't argue. He just walked back to his car, shoulders slumped. And I realized then for the first time, I didn't want him back. Not even a little. The next few weeks were a blur of court forms, custody proposals, and nights where I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, too tired to cry, too angry to sleep. Brad kept pushing for 50/50ths custody. On paper, it sounded fair. He was their father. He said he loved them. But Rachel and I both knew what it was really about. Less custody for me meant less child support for him. He's never even taken them to the dentist, I told her during one strategy call. He thinks keeping them alive with pizza and iPads every other weekend makes him a full-time parent? She didn't smile. She just took notes. Meanwhile, Brad's lawyer submitted a proposal that included selling the house within 6 months. He wanted me out fast. I sat in Rachel's office, trembling. If I lose this house, I have nowhere to go. My parents have space, but it's not a permanent solution. Tyler's school, Lily's daycare, everything's here. Rachel tapped her pen. We'll argue for primary custody and allow you to stay in the home temporarily. Courts tend to favor stability for young kids. And you've been the primary caregiver. It was logical. But my body didn't care about logic. My nerves were on fire. That night, I curled up on the couch at my parents' house while my mom tucked the kids into bed upstairs. She came back down and handed me a cup of tea. You're doing the right thing, she said gently. Then why does it feel like I'm falling apart? I whispered. Because you loved him. Because he betrayed you in the worst way. I nodded. And Tessa? My mom's jaw tightened. I don't have words for that girl. Just know she doesn't deserve another second of your thoughts. I wanted to believe that, but the hurt lingered. Then, 2 days later, a letter arrived addressed to me, in Tessa's handwriting. Not an email, not a text. A real, physical letter. I almost tossed it, but curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a single page. I understand now that I've lost the most important friendship of my life. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know, the baby isn't Brad's. The paternity test confirmed it. I'm leaving town to stay with my sister until after the birth. I wish I could undo what I did. I hope someday you heal. Tessa. I folded it and tucked it away in a drawer. I didn't cry. Not for her. Not anymore. Knowing Brad wasn't the father was a strange kind of relief. At least there wouldn't be a forever tie between them. No shared child. no permanent wound. But it didn't erase the betrayal. It never would. Back in court, Rachel negotiated hard. She laid out every detail: my financial dependency, Brad's infidelity, the emotional damage. Eventually, Brad's side backed off the house demand, and the custody split shifted primary placement with me, generous visitation for him. I remember the moment Rachel told me we'd won that round. I didn't cheer, I didn't smile. I just whispered, "Thank God." And then I finally slept. For the first time in weeks. It took 9 months. 9 months of court dates, mediation meetings, tense exchanges at the kids' drop-offs. 9 months of rebuilding piece by piece everything that Brad shattered. And now, it was done. The divorce was finalized. I sat at Rachel's office, holding the final signed documents. She looked at me with something close to pride. "You made it," she said. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired, but also free. The final agreement granted me primary custody. Brad got the kids every other weekend and dinner one night a week. Holidays would alternate. The house? Mine for now. I'd agreed to refinance it under my name within 2 years, in exchange for Brad keeping more of his retirement account. It wasn't perfect, but it gave the kids stability and me time to breathe. Brad didn't fight me at the end. Maybe because he finally realized how much he'd wrecked. Or maybe because even his own father told him to stop pushing. I'll never forget Mr. Coleman calling me and saying, "I'm ashamed of what he did. You're still the mother of my grandchildren, and you deserve better." It stunned me, but it helped. Financially, I started working part-time at a local tutoring center. The pay was modest, but I hadn't stood in a workplace in years, and it felt good to be me again. Not just mom, not just wife, just Megan. My parents helped with the kids. My mom even watched Lily during my shifts, and my dad started doing school pickups once a week. It gave me space. And I needed space. Emotionally, I was still a mess some nights. Tyler, my 7-year-old, asked me one night, "Why doesn't Daddy live here anymore?" I knelt beside his bed, brushing his hair back. Because sometimes even grown-ups stop being good together. But that doesn't change how much we love you. He nodded, but I saw the sadness in his eyes. It gutted me. Brad had been trying to play the involved dad role more consistently. To his credit, he showed up when he said he would. The kids came home fed, teeth brushed. He even helped with homework. He never mentioned Tessa again. And neither did I. But once, just once during a drop-off, he looked at me with tear-filled eyes and whispered, "I still dream about the 4 of us together again." I didn't reply. I just closed the door behind me. That chapter was over. One night, after putting Lily to bed, I sat on the porch alone. It was quiet, stars blinking above, wind soft against my face. And for the first time in nearly a year, I felt peace. I still hurt. I still had scars. But I also had something else, a future. My life wasn't over, it was just rewritten. And maybe, just maybe, that was okay. It's been almost a year now. A year since the night Brad asked for a hall pass. A year since the cake, the hotel, the email. A year since the 2 people I trusted most tore my life in half. And yet, here I am. Still standing, still healing, still moving forward. The divorce papers are tucked away in a drawer. I haven't opened them since the day I signed. I don't need to. That chapter is closed. Brad and I are civil. We speak when we have to. Kid stuff, school events, doctor's appointments. It's all business now. He still tries, in his own way. He once texted me a picture of the kids laughing in his backyard and wrote, "You're such a good mom. They're happy because of you." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. Forgiveness is a journey, one I'm still walking. Tessa had her baby a girl. I heard through a mutual acquaintance. Healthy, full head of dark hair. I didn't feel anger when I heard it. Just detachment, like someone reading a name in a newspaper and vaguely recognizing it. I don't hate her anymore, but I don't miss her either. She was part of an old life, one that's no longer mine. The new life? It's not flashy. It's breakfast crumbs on the floor. It's walking Tyler to school, one hand holding his lunchbox, the other gripping Lily's tiny fingers. It's working part-time while saving every penny to refinance the house. It's grocery lists, bedtime stories, and the quiet satisfaction of doing it all on my own terms. And you know what? I'm proud. I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm becoming. Last week, my mom looked at me while we were folding laundry and said, "You're stronger than I ever realized." I smiled. So am I. No. Some nights, I still lie awake, wondering how I missed the signs. How I loved someone who could lie to my face with the kids asleep just down the hall. But most nights, I sleep. Deeply. Peacefully. Because I know I chose myself. I chose my children. I chose truth. And no matter what Brad thinks, I didn't destroy this family. He did. All I did was survive it. So, tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have walked away too or tried to forgive? Because some betrayals cut so deep. There's no stitching them back together. Betrayal doesn't always come with warning signs. Sometimes it shows up wearing your husband's cologne and your best friend's perfume, and leaves you questioning everything you ever trusted. This past year tore me down to nothing. I lost a marriage I once believed in. I lost a friendship I thought would last forever. But in the wreckage, I found something I didn't expect. Myself. I rebuilt not perfectly, not quickly, but honestly. I chose peace over chaos, truth over illusion, and strength over silence. There are still nights when I replay everything. But there are more mornings now where I wake up not just surviving but living. So now I want to ask you, what would you do if your partner asked for a hall pass and then used it with your best friend? Would you walk away, try to forgive, fight to fix it? Let me know in the comments. Your voice might help someone else going through the same thing. If this story moved you, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life revenge stories. We post every week, and sometimes healing begins with just being heard.